Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Squads for Noobs series, a series where we talk about one squad, their overview of their kits, how you use them, the order to apply Zetas, so on and so forth. Today, we're going to be highlighting the Geonosian team. This is a pretty simple team because there's only 5 Geonosians in the game. It's also, most of them are accessible pretty early on, Geonosian Brute Alpha being the latest accessible character at level 83, which I am now farming him on my GoTanks account. And before I get into the kits, something different with Geonosians is where you want to place them. A lot of teams, I don't think it matters too much where you place them. There are some exceptions, but based on the swarm mechanics, you want to have Sunfat go first, then Geonosian Soldier, followed by Spy and Poggle. It's not really important who goes 4th or 5th, but that is something unique about this team, or semi-unique, that you do care how you place them. So use this order and we'll get into why later on in the video. So let's get in, starting with GBA. And Geonosian Brute Alpha is definitely the top dog. Caused quite a stir in 2019 when it came out because it took really terrible characters in the Geonosians, combined them all together for something great. I'll also talk about Zeta order on GBA because he's the only one with Zetas on the team, which is really, really friendly for newer players. So starting with the unique, without the Zeta, gives GBA a bit of a tenacity boost. Also, the main thing is it grants the Hive Mind buff to all Geonosians while GBA is active. So when GBA goes away, this mechanic goes away a lot. And also, when another Geo ally is defeated, reduce the cooldown of conscription by 1, which is its second special. But the big thing is Hive Mind. This is what makes all Geonosians all assist anytime anyone does anything on the team, which is kind of crazy. Assist whenever another Geo uses an ability during their turn, dealing 50% less damage. Equalize health and protection with Hive Mind allies whenever an enemy uses an ability. So that's why this team is constantly flatline for protection and health. That's why they hate AoEs, and you can exploit them by attacking the weakest members because they're always equalizing that health and protection across all allies. And then once you take out GBA, the fact that that's in the unique really puts a damper on the Geos. The lead gives, this is crazy. This comes in at the level 7 ability at like level 70 something. Geo allies have 50 plus 15%, 15,000 max health and max protection, 50% health steal. So the 15,000 health and protection is an extremely rare trait. It might be unique to GBA where it has a flat total. Granted, it's not a percentage. Most characters have, okay, 50%, 20%. This is just a flat number, and why that's important, it doesn't scale up or down at all. You can have Gear 1, Level 1 Geos. They're going to have 30,000 combined hit points, and it's crazy, because people are going to underestimate, like I remember underestimating this team in 2019 early on, because they were all Gear 6, and I lost with like a Gear 10, Gear 11 CLS team. I was just shocked, and that is crazy here. So in the early game, this is like an extreme benefit just to have this. Not just for PvP, for PvE, like taking them in like territory battle fights. It's such a nice boost. So anyway, enough about that. I'm kind of obsessed with this stat. The extra health steal is nice. Also, Geo allies recover 3% protection when they use a basic ability, which is all the time. So they're like always swarming, always regenerating protection like that. And among these two, the unique, I think, as the more important Zeta. So this would be number 1 priority Zeta for the team. At the start of the encounter, you summon your Geonosian Brute. And I'll talk about the Brute in a second too. So it's giving you a 6-man team at the start as opposed to waiting for Geo Brute Alpha's first turn. And then also on the leadership, basic abilities of Geo allies to deal 10% more damage for each buffed enemy. So as long as your enemy has buffs, that's a nice damage boost, but it is secondary to the unique and also can take a backseat to a lot of other Zetas on a lot of other teams. Not an enormous priority. So we talked about the Brute, and you bring out the Brute, unless if you don't have the Zeta, you bring it out with Conscription. This is an amazing move. Spell all debuffs on all Geos, summon the Brute if it's not there, which is going to be 100% health and protection, and then that gets equalized with all Geo allies constantly too. So you could have the whole team pretty weak, and then you do this move, you heal them all 35% health and protection, get a full Geo Brute in there, and then they're pretty much back up and running. That's what makes it so annoying for newer players that aren't equipped to handle facing them. If the Brute's already present, then it'll gain quick damage up and offense up for 2 turns, and then all Geo allies are going to get 15% turn meter along with that healing I talked about. The Brute, it's kind of described here. It taunts on its basic, It calls another ally to assist with its special. Has 25% offense for each active Geonosian ally. This is why the Zeta is so nice and Geo Brute Alpha is so unique and powerful. It's because he's a double character. And then the Brute also has 100% counter chance. The stats scale with GBA, but something that isn't talked about or that's hard to deduce in game is the protection totals are barely shared at all. I think Brute has pretty low protection amounts, but the health from GBA is shared more. So if you're trying to bulk up your Brute, you need to go with health on GBA as opposed to protection. So that's a lot to digest there, but and it's complicated how it works. It's not very transparent, but it's just a really strong thing. Then the special dispels all debuffs on all enemies. That's like such a nice thing. Like it's such a powerful ability. But since it is a damaging ability, if they do have foresight, it's just gonna miss. If it's a non-damaging ability and you dispel all buffs, it will dispel foresight along with all others. Damages all enemies and exposes them for 2 turns, and then removes 50% turn meter from debuffed enemies. Just really nice. And then the basic, just pretty basic, but if it crits, it dispels all buffs on them. You already have another buff dispel on the team, Sunfac, but it's a decent basic as well. That's GBA, really strong, just the cornerstone of the team, really high priority to farm early. Queen's Will Zeta, definitely the top priority on this team. Next up, we got Sunfac, and he's going to be the one you want to put right after GBA in the lineup, mainly because of his basic. This is a basic that dispels all buffs. So, like, whenever you're having a mass swarm, if they have buffs on them, like, most importantly, if there's like protection up or defense up or something that's going to mitigate how much damage you're doing, you want it dispelled first, and then everyone else come in. So that's why you want Sunfac first. They'll attack first, get rid of that, get that out of the way. The basic also can recover some health for him. So if you're towards the end, that's going to be annoying. Or like if you're in the health and you're stuck behind a taunt, going at Sunfac, that could be annoying. And let's look at his unique. He has 50% counter chance. And then this is less impactful, I think. Whenever he attacks outside of his turn, he has plus 25% potency and inflicts crit chance down for 2 turns. It's like, okay, I guess that's fine. His Hive Mind bonus, every Geo has a different Hive Mind bonus for them. And for Sunfac, it's when he taunts, he gets defense up, health steal up, 2 turns, and then everyone else gets those buffs twice when he loses taunt. However, you don't really want to taunt with Sunfac if you can help it. You want the Brute to take the hits, because the Brute, if it goes down, you can just bring it back full health protection. Sunfac, if you taunt with him, and this is considering offense, because on defense you're not choosing anything. If you were taunting with Sunfac, it helps the enemy whittle you down faster and more evenly. You would taunt if you wanted to with the first special, taunts for 2 turns, and then inflicts offense down, removes 40% turn meter. It's kind of rare you want to do that. I do that on occasion when I'm attacking and my Brute is down and I want to protect the flimsy members like Soldier, Poggle. So I would be cautious about using that ability. Only use it if you really need to. Second special, Spiteful Strike. This is the one I pretty much spam whenever it's available. Stagger target enemy for 2 turns. If they're already debuffed, also blind and daze them. So that's 3 great debuffs. Stagger, blind, and daze. Just make sure they're not, like, they don't have foresight. Don't waste it on that. But that is Sunfac. Next up, we got Geo Soldiar, and he has a simple but beautiful kit. Only 3 abilities on his basic. It's a normal basic with Tenacity Down. Tenacity Down is an inherently irresistible debuff. So as long as Sunfac dispels, you're going to land the Tenacity Down and line you up for debuffs to land after that. So that's why you put him after Sunfac. His Hive Mind bonus, also pretty simple, 15% crit chance for Geo allies. And then the Soldier himself gains 25% turn meter when scoring critical hit. The Hive Mind bonus is sharing 35% defense penetration to all allies. But that turn meter gain on a crit is why you might want to put some crit chance into Geonosian Soldier and not follow my lead. I just have a set and not too much. But he's giving 15% critical chance anyway. So with a few relics, mine's at relic 5, he's getting pretty close to 100% crit chance. And then his Swarm, it's an assist. It calls an extra assist. I mean, everyone's always going to assist when a Geo does anything, but you can pick the assist with this ability and does extra damage. So usually you want to do this and call Spy. Anytime you have a chance to call someone, target someone to assist, you call Spy. And I'm going to get to Spy next. Another nice thing about Fac, Soldier, and then also Spy, they have ships that are pretty decent in the beginning game. Just another reason why this is such a beginner-friendly team. And next we're talking about Spy. Spy is probably the most important kit after Geonosian Brute Alpha because of the big damage potential. The big damage potential comes from the first special, which you want to hold and save. You want to save it until you can't wait any longer, because it's going to dispel all buffs and debuffs from both Spy and the target enemy. Deal 40% more damage for each effect dispelled this way, which can stack really high. It also is afflicting evasion down for 2 turns. After all other effects have been dispelled, but that's not really that important. On its basic, it is gaining crit chance up for 2 turns, but that's not the big source of buffs. You might have a lot more buffs than you think on Spy by the time you get to your Silent Strike. That's because Spy gains stealth for 3 turns at the start of the encounter, and whenever it scores a critical hit. So that's gonna be a lot, very often. So whenever you assist and if Spy gets the critical hit, it's going to gain stealth, and stealth will only ever show as 1 buff. However, in the game, it is a stacking buff, so it's not showing like there's 10 stacks of stealth, but it is stacking, and it lasts 3 turns. So however many you can get within a 3-turn window, it's going to be crazy. So there is a limit. Like, I mean, they only last 3 turns. So if it's been 3 turns since the stealth, it goes away. So that is the upper limit. Like if you have a full team of 5, you're going to be able to stack that higher than in 3v3. Just as a hard cap. So it gets really, really high, hundreds of thousands, and that is the big threat here. During its turn, whenever a Geo ally inflicts a debuff on an enemy, Spy also gains 35% turn meter. So that's on Spy's turn. So whenever it goes and has everyone assist, it's going to be gaining some turn meter there. The last ability we're going to talk about is its second special, Illicit Intel. It grants potency up for 2 turns on all allies, and then exposes all enemies for 2 turns. Can't be evaded, but that doesn't mean it can't be resisted. So it can be resisted. And usually I do this as one last stall before I do Silent Strike. I'll do this and Silent Strike because it also adds expose on an enemy potentially, so it's another status effect. But it reduces the Silent Strike cooldown by 1, and that is the Hive Mind bonus. So when Geonosian Brute Alpha is gone, it's not happening. But once Geo Brute Alpha is gone, the whole team's pretty much screwed anyway. So you do want a little bit of crit chance on it. I'll go into mods later, but I probably don't have enough either. But it does have pretty high base crit chance, especially in Relics. Mine is just Relic 5, but it gets the job done for the most part. But yeah, big damage threat, Geo Spy. And last but not least, we got Poggle, and we want him attacking late in the lineup because on his basic, he inflicts ability blocks. So we want any debuffs to spell. That could be Foresight or Tenacity up or something that could get in the way. And we want Tenacity down to maximize the chance of inflicting this. However, it is still 80% chance at best, and then also could be resisted from natural resistance. I think it's like a 15% chance to resist naturally, but it is going to do ability block. It does more damage for each debuffed enemy, but Poggle's not really the big source of damage on the team. I'm going to get into his unique in a second, but also this special, pretty powerful. It's another dispel, so Poggle and Geonosian Brute Alpha have the dispel on them. If you're facing a Geonosian team, if you can stun 2 different characters to prevent them from using specials or ability block them, Poggle is right up there with GBA because of this dispel. So if you had Daze on everyone, Poggle get rid of it all, same with GBA, and also gives 4% turn meter, or he gains 4% turn meter for each debuff dispel that way, so we could get a second turn if you had enough out there. Then all Separatist allies gain offense up for 3 turns and calls an assist, which, as we talked about, you want to call Spy if you have any choice. The lead, you're almost never going to use it, but there is that mission in GOTB where you are forced to use it, and basically the only benefit you get is 30% offense. However, Geo Brute Alpha's unique is still applicable, so it's not the worst. You're just less durable, just kind of worse all around. And then the unique. I don't have the Omicron. I mean, I know, I'm sorry. It's a great Omicron, just I don't see the need for it in TW. For me in my guild, I don't think it'll be impactful enough. But the unique is kind of weird as well. The only thing that's really going to apply on a normal GBA lead team is 5% evasion for each other ally with Hive Mind, so 25% evasion for Poggle. This is why if you're trying to beat down on the Geonosians as you're facing them, I kind of avoid Poggle. He's weak and flimsy, but he dodges a lot. I instead go for Spy because he's the flimsiest. And then this whole bonus is for characters without Hive Mind, so it just does not apply to this team. But then this does. Geonosian allies remove 1% turn meter from target enemy whenever they attack out of turn. So that should be 4% each turn, each time you do that swarm attack, which can be pretty helpful. And now for the Omicron. So obviously, like I said, I don't have it, but basically it's giving all allies the buff Geonosian Brood until they're defeated. And this is a really strong buff. It's kind of hard to read my screen, but it gives 20% max health, protection, offense, tenacity, and 10 speed for each Geonosian ally. So that should be 6 if you count the Brood, and it's just is a static state. It's not like when the battle started, but it should be times 6, so 120% of all those plus 60 speed. Whenever the character is defeated, think any character revive at 100% health and protection and turn meter. So that is, it's a very enticing Omicron. If it was Grand Arena, I would definitely get it. But earlier guilds or lower GP guilds are going to be definitely wanting you to have this. A lot of them makes the team really hard to deal with on defense, and then on offense it can take out a lot. It used to be able to do Galactic Legends. I don't know if it can anymore. Yeah, they turned it off for GLs. I think it was just dominating JML. But just a lot of stats. That is a ton of stats. So the better you mod your team, the better that Omicron's going to be in theory. So Relic Geo is going to be better. Like, it's going to scale in a multiplicative way when you have high relics on the team. So that is all of characters' kits. And next, I want to go over my mods, which may or may not be optimized. Probably not, because Geos are deprioritized for me to oblivion in the end game. However, I do have more health on Geonosian Brood Alpha. Now that I have more 6-dot mods, I've been able to focus on that more. A little bit of speed, some offense. He's just kind of all over the place. I have tenacity sets and health sets. So even the tenacity set has health primary on it. Then for Sunfac, I think you just want him tanky. Again, mine's deprioritized. Protection's a big thing for him. He does have a good base protection, also a good base health. So either way, you can't go wrong. He's really slow to begin with, so it would take a lot to get him slow. But he is a consummate tank, so you just want tankiness. Soldier, I'd go with some crit chance, a crit chance set, and then either offense or crit damage. Either way is pretty much the same. I do think crit damage triangle is the way to go on him, and that's what I have. Poggle, just really flimsy character. I gave it a little bit of health, some speed, not a ton of damage. You might want to give it potency, but again, my Poggle is just pathetic. I barely ever use it. Spy, like Geo Soldier, you want some kind of damage set, so offense or crit damage. Mine is crit damage, not a lot of characters. I don't have tons of crit damage sets, and most of my best sets are offense sets, so I use them on better characters. But you want to, I mean, anytime you can give anyone on the team speed, survivability, or damage, it's good. But as you can see, I have deprioritized my mods. So let's look at Swigga.gg to see what everyone else is doing. Starting with the big boss, Geonosian Brood Alpha, most people are running speed and health, and they are using protection, which I disagree with. I think this might be due to ignorance is like a strong word for it, but like not knowing that the protection isn't shared well with Geonosian Brood. I forget when, but I've seen like someone did a dive into a calculation of it and the protection just was not there, and you could tell from the healing amounts it was getting. So I think health is better to go with. But 41% are using a speed set and health, 22% speed set and tenacity, 12% bunch of health, and then this is what I have: health, and tenacity. The reason you might want to add tenacity is Geo Brood Alpha already has really high base tenacity, and it's such a key character. It doesn't want to be ability blocked, dazed, or stunned or anything like that. As long as it's taking a turn, it can heal up the rest of the team, cleanse them off, and all that. So that is an argument for tenacity. However, protection is, I mean, if you don't have a ton of 6-dot mods, that's another reason people go for protection. Geonosian Brood Alpha does have good protection itself, just not passing it on to the Brood. So health and protection, pretty much the way to go. Not a massive damage dealer. It doesn't have bad damage among the team, but definitely survivability is the way to go. Same with the cross protection health, but tenacity's up there as well. Circle, protection, dominant over health. Again, I disagree. And then speed, pretty dominant on the arrow. For Sun Fac, it's health, 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 and then protection, protection, protection. Protection is probably the way to go on Sun Fac, just easier to do. But I love defense sets, like any combination of defense. Like the best ones you have between either health or defense that you can spare. Defense sets are better for survivability than health. They just are, especially if you're looking at like a pure protection build. Because if you have a ton of protection stat on health sets, you're not helping out your protection. If it's all defense sets, it's harder to get through that protection, if that makes sense. So defense is just better as a set than health, but it's just health is everywhere. They give you health very often. Dominant protection compared to health. Defense is up there too, but damage probably not a priority at all for Sun Fac. Protection dominant, tenacity and health. Defense kind of lagging in fourth, and protection pretty dominant, 81%. And on the arrow, speed is only 44%. I mean, you might want to go with protection, or people do crit avoid. But protection might not be bad for Sun Fac, just because he's kind of a lifeline. If your Geo Brute goes down and you need people around, this happened. I think this was more in the later phases of Geonosian's territory battle. It's been a long time since I did that, but Sun Fac would kind of be bailing you out as the tank to keep you alive in those later sets. Geo Soldiar, crit damage, crit chance, just damage stats are mainly, 36% are using crit damage, 13% all crit chance, speed is in there, but I really think just offense or crit damage I want to throw on there. Crit damage or crit chance, there is an argument for crit chance, and then if there's any crit avoidance out there, going over 100% can help. But yeah, damage stuff, so offense is third in there. Across offense, and then it's pretty squishy, and the survivability does help out the whole team, so some people are using protection and health. Offense is probably the way to go. Protection is easier to get good stats on because you don't need 6 dot for it to matter, so that's probably why people are doing more protection. But Soldier's really flimsy to begin with, so speed or offense here, only 85% speed, so most characters are using a like 90% speed, but there is a good case to be made for offense on his arrow because he's getting a lot of turn meter just through his unique, and also he's attacking outside of his own turn a lot, so you don't need the speed necessarily. Spy is going to look very similar to Geo Soldiar, 81% crit damage, not crit chance, because Geo Soldiar has a better bonus from having crit chance than Spy does. 76% offense. This is the big damage dealer, so you really want to lean into the offense. I'm going to say you should definitely put offense across. A little bit better, more protection people are using than the health. Same thing we've been talking about. And speed 71% compared to 25%. So you really it's not that you want the character taking as many turns as possible. I think offense is probably the better way to go on Spy. Whether or not I added it on mine or not, it's probably the way to go now that I'm thinking about it, just because I want to maximize the upside of that big hit. And that also includes not only just getting as much offense as you can, but not taking turns with the Spy itself, because after those 3 turns, you're going to get rid of some of those earlier buffs. Last, we got Poggle. Pretty much just speed on him. You do want him to take turns because he does have that cleanse, which can be important. And that ability block. People are just beefing him up. He's not a big damage dealer, so on the triangle where there's no potency available, just survivability stats, protection, health. But a lot of people are using potency, which is a good idea. You want to land the ability block. Protection, health split the same, and then speed pretty dominant. So that's the modding for all of them, and I pretty much agree with most of it, except Geo Brute Alpha wants a lot more health and protection. It's just harder to do, so I understand why people are doing that. That's it for modding. Now to talk about what they beat and what beats them. This is the offensive section, and there's not a ton to talk about. They're not really an offensive team. I've been talking about what you do with them when you're using them. A lot of that can apply to PvE modes, but in PvP, they can beat mirrors somewhat easily, and this is from the last 5v5 season. So this is like without datacrons and such. So it's hard to parse through it. But what you see is there's not a lot of high win rates. Radis is an option there. Night Sisters sometimes win. On Mothma, definitely something in there. These Phasma teams, not really good in Grand Arena. So there's not too much that they are actually beating on offense. You can beat some early teams like Karth, and it just, for a newer player, what matters is the power imbalance. If you have a stronger Geonosian team, they're going to take out a lot of stuff in your hands. Like, they might be able to take out Phoenix team with Krex. It's hard to imagine them doing that, but if you target down Krex, you might be able to do it. They can take out probably an Empire team, a Jedi team if you're targeting, Imperial Trooper team if you're not getting outsped easily. So there's just a lot of stuff you got to consider. So you really kind of need a power imbalance if you're going to use them on offense. But defensively, they're just definitely a huge pain. And as far as what beats them, I sorted to a Grand Arena season that didn't have Dow Datacron, so it wasn't having an oversized impact on what happens. Because a big mechanic that helps beat Geonosians is Terminator trains. So big Terminator train teams are definitely gonna make better work of them, and also teams that have AoEs. So Imperial Troopers are kind of the classic go-to. Even a TW with the Poggle Omicron, if you're fast enough, you can usually beat it with Troopers. Night Sisters with Marin, though without Marin, I probably wouldn't try it as much. General Grievous is a good option, though it has a little bit less banners. Treya is an easy counter, even without the Omicron. This was kind of one of the originals, and people would go in there with just Treya and Scion if they were really, like, I don't know, they really wanted to be risky. But you want Nihilus in there just for safety. The big thing is Treya's lead is hurting all of them. Every turn they're taking 35% health damage, which just cripples them. CLS, if you have the full team, it's going to be good. I think you really want 3PO and Chewie there to make it work. And then you got to target down Poggle and Geonosian Brood Alpha. Make sure they're not cleansing. You want to try to spread your stuns out. But if you have like a weaker, like lower geared CLS, I probably wouldn't try to take out the Geos. Geo Mirrors also somewhat of a decent chance. Bad Batch is a good chance there too, because they do start out with some buffs that you can take off. You can AoE daze them. The thing that Geonosians hate the most is AoE daze. So anytime you have that, that's going to be Bad Batch have that. Piet has that. They really, really hate it. Vader is also an option. So like Vader theoretically can solo, but it's risky. You need a much more powerful Vader. So you need Vader in Relics to take out like a G12 team. But Vader and then Thrawn and pass a turn back to him helps. Palpatine leading Vader is going to make it great. Darth Revan, just Darth Revan, Bastila, and HK can take out a full Geo team. Phoenix with Rex is 83%. So things definitely can go awry there. But there's a lot of options to handle them. It's just if you don't have the right power level on one of these teams, it's going to be really hard to beat them. And when you attack, like I've mentioned a couple times already, want to control Poggle and GBA because they're the cleansers. And then if you have your pick of the litter, if Brute is not taunting, Sunpack is not taunting, I think you want to go all in on Soldier because it has the weakest health and protection pool without having evasion. However, if Poggle is stunned, then you can target him, go all in on him because he can't evade that way. So that is the section about countering Geos. Then last thing to know before we get to the demonstration is Relic order. I keep forgetting to put this in Squad for Noobs. But the clear winner, if you're going to start relicking characters, you want to do Geo Brood Alpha first. Second, you want to do Spy. Spy, because it's the damage machine of the team. You want it hitting as hard as possible, so higher relics. Geonosian Brood Alpha still comes before Spy, though. I mean, some people would do Spy first. It's like, there's an argument for it. It's just the problem is damage and not survivability. You might want to consider that. Spy also has a ship. Spy, Soldier, and Sunfac have ships, which makes them great. It's hard to say who to relic third between Soldier and Sunfac, although Poggle's definitely fifth on the list. Poggle if you want more damage, Sunfac if you want better survivability. Probably Soldier. I don't know, but Sunfac's ship is probably more important than Soldier's ship, so there's arguments for each. And then Poggle is the one that doesn't have a ship, isn't that important. But what is important about getting him into relics is you want survivability. You see mine is relic 4. That means I really dragged my feet on getting him to the minimum like full Datacron level, because it used to be you need relic 5 to get from the ability level 4 through 8. So I dragged my feet on that. For the demonstration, we're doing this. It's this galactic challenge against the Java team, not like an optimal Java team, but still a Java team in Grand Galactic Challenge, which is kind of annoying. So this will help go over some of the mechanics that I'll try to talk through as I go through. And I might not finish this one, but it will help me just demonstrate what's going on. He put the buff immunity on Brute. That is good, because if he does put the buff immunity on Spy, it's really going to limit how much damage we're actually doing. They start out with defense, so Geos are a great team for getting rid of all those defensive stacks, because just for every hit, you get rid of it. So we got down from 8 to none in just one salvo. And I'm getting an assist so with Soldier, so I will call Spy. Then I do have Soldier stunned, so I'm gonna take care of that with Poggle, although it is a 4-turn cooldown, so it's gonna take a while to get back to that. But as we're going right now, I am saving my big hit with Spy. This is an annoying Dathomir-like challenge where they're all gonna come back after 10 turns. My team too, but it's just annoying to finish off the whole team. So I do have a big hit available. However, I don't quite have a good opening on Java because of all those stacks. I am saving the big hit for Java though. Like, he's gonna be the hardest one to kill out here. And I need to kill everyone at once, so... but that's why it is great for demonstrating, because there's one big target I need to save up to attack. I do have some buffs here that are annoying. I have a stun on the Brute and then blind on my GPA, so I'll do this. Help recover as well. I'll just keep calling Spy whenever you get the chance. And I do have an opportunity for a big hit here. I'm going to pull it, see what we got. There's been no buff immunity or anything, and he's been attacking a lot and getting a lot of stealth. So only 113,000, so that was actually kind of disappointing. I don't want to taunt with him, so I won't use this special. And then just try to keep Java debuffed. I reduced the cooldowns on my big hit ability by doing the other special. Just want to control all these guys, get rid of you. Not use that yet. Save that up a little bit more. Probably not going to get everyone to assist. Okay. It's too weak. Okay, so did not get buff immunity on Spy, which is good. But Java Dispel, one thing Java's doing, you're not really going to do Geos versus Java out in the wild, but it's dispelling stealth, so that really hurts Geonosian Soldier, because that's the main buff stacked up. So I want to pull a big hit when I can before Java goes. So I do have a few more buffs this time. Is it going to work? No, still only 100,000. But still, that's a good amount of damage compared to what we're doing otherwise. I kind of want to see if I can kill these guys. Is pretty annoying. Yeah, I'm getting that ability block off a lot just because this might be going nowhere. It's hard to kill Java. But you see the point. You see how these things work. Just galactic challenges are kind of my, and see, he had dispelled the stealth, so I barely did anything. Galactic challenges are something I can plug into. A lot of the nodes are too weak for me to demonstrate, so I hope that did help as a demonstration. I didn't win it, but again, it's not a practical matchup, but that's what we got for now. So that is it for Geonosians. If you don't already, get yourself a Geonosian Brood Alpha right here, and the other Geos, easy to farm, so don't wait, get them today. Hope you enjoyed this, hope you learned something. I appreciate any feedback, but thanks so much for watching, and I'll see everyone later.